My name's Elad. I moved to Canada 6 years ago from Israel. I came into the cannabis industry almost 3 years ago. Started in a beverage company. Worked there for a full year, and at the end of that year, after things not going so well and some specifics got laid off, and decided I really want to have my own company that's going to do a beverage, and that was the first thing we started to do. And I got my partner joining me really quickly. He's a friend from school. We did our MBA here together, and we were working on how we can bring a beverage to the market, looking at all these companies investing millions and saying like there's much cheaper ways to do it. And did a lot of work and used our engineering backgrounds also, until one day we were sitting, and putting our we called our MBA hats on us, and kind of figuring out that beverages are not a bottle with a flavor and a specific dose and everything. That's just one implementation of a beverage, but a cannabis beverage is essentially the ability to add cannabis to your beverage. And we had this aha moment where we said, why are we even selling it as a beverage? Let's sell it as cannabis that you can yourself add to a beverage. From that perspective, maybe we're a bit early in the market. Right now we see that there's products doing it right in the market already, that you can just buy those drops. And we wanted to do really small, cool vials. We were working with that idea for a while. And then about a year ago, we kind of had this understanding that what we need is to have a product that allows us to do this and allows consumers to do it very simply. And that product essentially dispenses the liquid very accurately for you. So there's no more guessing. There's no more buying a specific vial with 10 milligrams or 5 milligrams and then choosing what to do, because the amount of SKUs you need from an operations perspective is just ridiculous. And we both have operations experience, my partner and I, and that's how we understood the dispenser that we want to do and build, if it will allow every consumer to just choose what we want to have right before consuming it, then we're doing the personalization at the downstream, not upstream. And that's kind of what brought us to where we are today, right? So since that year, we've been working a lot of work on developing the product, getting our IP, and we actually have a working product that I can show. So not sure if you can see the lights here. This is our dispenser, and it connects with our pod. So fairly small. As you can see, the dispenser and the pod are fairly small from size perspective, and we are changing a bit the design. I'll keep that as follow us and see, but the new design will be nicer. This one we wanted to check a few things that we were recommended. Some of them we liked, some we didn't, but essentially how it works is the dispenser is a one-time purchase. You have here all your smarts, you have your battery, your communication with your app, so you can track everything you're doing, and your control system. The pod is what you repurchase. So essentially you buy a pod. Let's just say for the example that this pod has 400 milligrams of THC. Every time you connect it, you can press the button here and dispense. And let's say I dispense 5 milligrams. I have right now 395. I can still disconnect this, connect another pod, let's say a pod with CBD right now, and dispense how many milligrams I want from that one. Disconnect it, connect again. So they're interchangeable. So they're not exactly like the pods and the cartridges that are used from say a curing machine, right? They're reusable, but once you finish it, that's when you need to send it back and buy a new one. And we will collect them and recycle them. So that's something that's very important for us. So the way it works is the dispenser itself, you turn it on. What we have here is a password. So right now the code is just one digit. So let's say I'm putting to digit 5 and pressing. I get red, password is wrong. I'm protecting if I don't want somebody to use it, or for myself, for example, I have a young kid at home. I don't want my kid to touch this and accidentally dispense. So I'm going to put the password at 3. I get green. And now it's going to show me how many milligrams I'm going to dispense. So right now there's 1 dot, so that's 1 milligram. I can take 2, 3, how many as I want. And the pod, we have a connection. As I mentioned, it's magnetic, so you connect them together, and essentially what happens is we have here a safety mechanism. So that safety mechanism makes sure that if it's not connected, you don't get an electric pulse here, making sure you're not going to electrify yourself, which is fairly important. It's not harmful, but it is painful. So as you can see, I get exactly 1 drop. You can measure it, it's very accurate. The levels between the drops is less than 2%. So we have our own lab now, and we have a scale that can measure up to 1 milligram. So that's 4 places after the dots. I'll just mention that the pod has a bunch of safety mechanisms inside it as well. So there's no cap that you can open and spill. And essentially, if you try to pull right now liquid, you won't succeed. Essentially, we're a medical company in a way that's developing a hardware product. We don't touch the plant, we don't touch cannabis, we don't have a license. We see cannabis as our first go-to-market. We see a lot of use for it, and the cannabis industry allows us for a good opportunity to start this new product. So what we're doing from Health Canada perspective is we need to get a Health Canada approval from the cannabis perspective. So this is not to approve it as a medical product yet, it's to approve it as a cannabis product. And what that means is Health Canada wants to make sure there's all kinds of things. From October 2020, there's going to be a lot of regulations about how you can sell concentrates. A bottle can be poured easily. If you want to have, it needs to have a dispensing mechanism. So most are going to have these droppers that you pour upside down and you get these little drops. And that's why another reason for us to develop and introduce this product. So when you want to come to Health Canada, they want to make sure that you can do all of those things. So what we need to show to them, to Health Canada, is, hey, we have a product that, as I mentioned, you can't tamper. So there's no way for you to take the liquid out. It's actually much safer than the bottles. And as I say, the only way to take liquid out is with a hammer. Right? It will work, unfortunately, but that's a way for you to take the liquid out. We have to make sure that it's accurate. And that's something that we're beating those things that you turn upside down. I've never been able to count them up, perfectly. I want to get 10 drops, I get 11 or 12. Never succeeded. So ours is very, very accurate. So we need to show that. We need to show all of the other, things that we're compliant with. We have a few mechanisms there that ensure that it's going to be safe all the time. So, for example, if you try to dispense upside down, it won't work. And the reason that's important is we have our proprietary pump inside, and we need to ensure that it's always accurate. Pumps need to be without air, but this one is moving, so we have to ensure that. So all these things we have to prove to Health Canada, and kind of, in a way, one, we're the first ones approving a product like this, but we're also trying to set the standard. So if anybody wants to come and do the same thing, they'll have a bit more difficult time. So Health Canada will say, well, wait, you didn't think about these things. You can't drink from these pots. Why can we drink from yours, right? So we try to do everything they want and above. But now it's the process is to prove to them all of that. That's why I have here another pot with like all the just the cover of it actually, but we did all the text also because you have to do that as well, and this is actually very difficult. So this took a lot of time. There's a lot of nuances that you need to be accurate about. So that's kind of the Health Canada perspective. I hope it's going to be a smooth sail. So far it was really okay. A bit consulting from some of the experts, but most of the work, just a lot of hard work internally.